can't help it. Okay, we're turned on. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of March. And we're here for gentle. Oh, I forgot to type it in, but that's okay. So if you're at home, hopefully you can hear. And we're all going to start to sit however's comfortable. Good to see you. So if you need to use blocks underneath your legs at all, if you're sitting cross-legged and you feel a little bit iffy, go ahead and support yourself or sit up on blankets. So close your eyes and see if you can. Actually, bring your hands into your lap and turn your palms up. Cup your hands, one on top of the other. Doesn't matter which one's on top. We're going to switch in a minute. And then just let the tips of your thumbs barely touch there. So you might have to kind of arrange your hands to a comfortable place where it feels really good to let your hands rest like that. You're lengthening up through the top of your head. And then just enjoy, accepting your breaths in and out. Feeling the breath coming in and out through your nose. The coolness of the air as you inhale and how it feels a little warmer as you exhale. Now really easily just switch the hand that you have on top so that you switch to, again, gently let the tips of your thumbs touch. Your hands are kind of cupped. And then just again, be with your breaths, following your breath all the way in and out. Next exhale, bring your hands together in front of your chest. Spread your fingers out a little bit. Feel connected through each of your fingers, your thumbs, whatever part of your palms touch. And let's inhale the hands up through the midline, only as high up as your shoulders feel good to go. So you may want to keep your elbows pretty bent or come straighter in your arms. And as you exhale, let the hands come right back down to be in front of your chest. And again, inhaling the hands up through the midline. And on the exhale, letting them come on back down. And then one more time, inhaling your hands up through the midline. And on the exhale, bringing the hands on back down. And now bring your hands over towards the front of your left shoulder. We're going to come into a big circle. Come up and over, maybe over your head a lot, or maybe just barely over your head with the hands coming down the other side. So you're making this big circle, letting yourself come to the side, up and over the top, and down the other side. And we'll complete the one we're on so we end up back again with the hands in front of the chest. Because from here we'll reverse and inhale the hands up the other side, exhaling them down as they come around into that circle. So again, inhaling up, and exhaling as they come back down. And then one more time. Inhaling the hands on up and over the top. Exhaling as they come on back down. And from here, unfold your arms on down beside you. And let's inhale the right arm all the way out and up overhead. And bend your elbow. Let yourself just release wherever you can so that you feel your tricep stretching out a little bit. And then stretch the arm back long, and we're going to come over into side stretch. So your left hand, if you're on the floor, can give you a little support. Breathe into the right ribs here. And then we'll rise on back up, lower that arm on down. And let's inhale the left arm all the way out and up overhead. Again, bend your elbow at first, and again, where you bring your hand is up to you. Elbow can come up more, you can let it come forward or out more. And then stretch into that long arm. And again, right hand gives you a little support if you're on the floor. Let yourself come over into that side stretch. Good, and then we'll rise on back up and lower our arms on down beside us here now. Now let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And we're going to switch the leg that's in front now if you're cross-legged. So if you weren't, don't worry about it. But if you were, let yourself switch. Shake your legs out a little bit if you need to between sides. Good. And then from here, let's bring our hands behind us. And just interlace your fingers lightly. So your elbows are a little bent. You can feel that openness across your chest. And see if you can come into a couple of three-part breaths. Inhaling into the belly, into your ribs, and then all the way up into your chest. And on your exhales, imagine the breath coming out of your chest first, and then your ribs, and then your belly. Good. And then we'll release our arms back down beside us here. Inhaling here at center. And on the exhale, let's twist to our left. So bring your right hand around towards your left knee. If it doesn't want to go that far, don't do it. Keep your hand more to the midline. Feel your right sitting bone drawing down towards the ground. Lengthen up through the top of your head. So one more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center. We're going to go around into the other direction. So again, take your time. Let yourself be easy and comfortable in the twist. Just wake up the spine a little bit here. Good. One more inhale. And on the exhale, let yourself come on back around into center. And let's come a bit forward here with a long back. Now that might mean just an inch or two for you, right? You can use your hands on your knees, on the floor here in front of you. If you feel like you want to walk out further and come further over your legs, by all means do. And see if you can release any tension that you might feel in your neck by letting your head hang a little bit. If that bothers your back, though, just bring the head in line with your spine. And just breathe. Good. One more breath. And then we'll walk ourselves on back up and lean back enough so you can just stretch your legs out and let them come just a little bit apart, right? So you're not, don't have your legs directly forward, but you have maybe 3 feet between your feet here. And then just slide your hands down towards your shins. So again, you're going to feel the backs of your legs now, but you're also coming forward from your low back like you did when we were just cross-legged. But you can wake up the backs of the legs by coming as far forward as you want. Feel the backs of the legs opening up. Just be mindful. Don't overdo. Just let it feel like you're kind of waking up the backs of your legs here. Good. And then we'll rise on back up. And we'll bring our legs on forward, kind of shake them out a little bit. We're going to make our way around towards our hands and knees. And you know, if you do not want to be on your knees, don't be. So if you'd rather be out in the seat of the chair, or if you'd rather have a blanket underneath your knees, by all means do. So remember, that is up to you. And your wrists are, again, another story. So if you can spread your fingers wide and get your pointer fingers about parallel to each other, do. If that is too much on your wrist, you're welcome to come on to fists, which takes out the wrist crease there. No, or put your hands on a blanket. Sometimes that helps people. Hands, the palms of your hands, the heels of your hands up on a blanket. So take your time and just really easily, when you're ready, start to flow through your cat-cows. And that doesn't mean you have to continuously be moving. You might want to stop in cat or cow and stay for a breath or two so that you can release there. be mindful. Let your tailbone feel like it's the first thing that moves. And then just bring your awareness to flowing up the spine from that tailbone, either reaching back and up to come into your cow, or the tailbone drawing up under you as you move up into your cat pose. It's kind of amazing how every day it can feel different, right? Just these flowing through these two poses. Finish off the one you're on, and come on back to a more neutral spine here now. And let's bring our left foot forward, our right foot back to find our first lunge. So you know you can grab your blocks, you can have your hands up any height you want. You can have them up on the chair. You can even have them up on the back of the chair if you need to be higher. And if you're using your blocks, they have 3 heights. So take time to discover which height is best for you today. Get your hands right under your shoulders so the blocks are on the mat there, and you can let yourself either come to fist on your blocks or fingertips or flat hands, right? And you can always change that out. So if your wrists start to bother you, you can change how you have your hands. One more breath here. And we're going to switch legs. So whether you like to step forward or back to bring the right foot forward, that's up to you. Take your time. Remember, you want to make sure that front knee is bent no further forward than your ankle. You want to let yourself feel very good in your hips here. So it's like you're standing on really narrow railroad tracks with your feet. Good. And let's switch again. So again, feel the feet pressing gently away from each other. Engage your belly. If any of you want to lift up your left hand or forearm onto your thigh there, you're more than welcome to. You don't need to. If it feels good to do a little bit more that way, do. Good. And we're going to switch one more time. So again, as you bring that right foot forward, take your time and decide if letting yourself bring your right hand up seems like a good idea or not. And then from here, we'll step forward. We're going to come on into standing forward bend. And this is the one that really is important for you to pay attention to what your back needs. Support under your hands, bending your knees, putting your elbows above your knees can support your low back, or using the chair underneath your forearms if you have one there. So be mindful. Let your knees soften a little bit and feel your sitting bones over your heels. See if you can let your head release, accept your breaths really fully and deeply in and out. So you feel that movement through the ribs as you inhale and exhale. It's kind of like an accordion. Inhale, the ribs expand. Exhale, they release back in. Good. So one more breath here. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. Bend our knees. We're going to rise straight on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down through the midline in front of our chest. So take your time. If you need to adjust, get into your mountain pose really comfortably. You can start with your feet. Start to bring your gaze forward and out when you're ready, whether your eyes are opened or closed. If you need to shift around a little bit, do. Just be mindful. Sometimes it feels good to bend a knee at a time. And then just let yourself feel the body adjusting here, which it will do. If you start to watch your breath, you might feel these little incremental shifts, right? So your body may go, I need to shift this way to get evened out. See if you can just accept as you breathe in and out what your body needs to do to get balanced here. Good. And And then we'll let our arms unfold on down beside us. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees and come forward into our standing forward bend. Now on your next inhale, find a nice flat back, wherever you want your hands to be, on your blocks there in front of you, or on your shins, or on your chair. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. So draw your shoulders down, away from your ears, zip up your belly, press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. And we're going to come into a downward facing dog pose from here. So you know, a down dog, how high up you have your hands is up to you. On the seat of a chair, like holding on kind of towards the outside of the seat and hugging your elbows towards each other. Or on the blocks, any height. You know, if you have your hands highest on the blocks, you may have your feet on the floor fully. And of course, if you have your hands down lower, either to blocks lower height or down to the floor, you might be hovering your heels off the mat. Feel your elbows hug in towards each other, so feel like you're holding a beach ball between your elbows. And on the next inhale, come on out towards a plank. It does not have to be a full plank. That is up to you. You can let yourself come to knees down or come to your forearms to get out of your wrists. Nice and strong here. Feel that belly and low back. We're really working here. And we'll come on back into down dog. Take your time. Lengthen back through your sitting bones. Enjoy feeling both sides of the body equal. And we'll come on into right foot forward to come find our lunge here. And whatever you need to do to get there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And again, you use whatever support you need. If you like to hold your own elbows and that feels good, you can give yourself a little more traction. If you know that is way too much for your back, don't do it. And then breathe. Let your face be soft. And let go around your mouth too. So if it helps to kind of open your mouth a little bit or move your mouth around, sometimes that helps release tension in the jaw. And one more nice full deep breath in and out. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to press into our feet and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And let's unfold our arms and let your hands come behind you. Interlace your fingers. Now, let your fingers be long and interlace them. But imagine you're trying to pull your hands apart, right? Which really involves coming up into the biceps. If this hurts your shoulder, don't do it. But it's like you're locked in there and you can't get your hands apart. You're pulling, 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 pulling. And one more time here, just let yourself feel like you're trying to get them apart. Now, all of a sudden, they're going to come apart, and they're going to float all the way out and up overhead. And as you exhale, come on forward into your standing forward bend. Remember as a child, if you ever stood in a doorway and pushed your hands like that against the sides of the door, remember? And then you walk forward and your arms float up. It's cool. Take a nice inhale into your long back. And we're going to step left foot back and come into lunge. And inhale, exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Again, whatever height you want your hands to be, elbows hug gently inward, so you want to feel okay in your shoulders. So how much weight you have in your hands, right, is up to you. But you're trying to extend back through your sitting bones, finding space in your spine. Let your next inhale bring you out to plank. Very nice. So it's not a matter of how high or low your hands are in your dog. Now in your plank, if you want to do a little push-up, you can bend your elbows a little bit. Let your elbows kind of come in like you're still holding that beach ball between them. Don't have to do these. And then we'll come on back into down dog. Nice. And this time we'll bring our left foot forward to find lunge. Again, you can put your right knee down or come however you need to get back in that lunge. And then we'll step back into standing forward bend again. Feet right underneath it. Easy breaths. Hands go wherever feels good. I mean, you could try something different if you want. You can put your hands like clasped behind your head. You can put your hands up on your back and clasp them up there if that feels good. So just take your time. You know, if you need support, use support. And see if you can let yourself count when you breathe in and think of reaching close to that same count when you breathe out. So if it becomes easier and easier for the exhale to extend out long, I mean, you can even let your exhales get longer, 2 or 3 counts longer than your inhales. And then we'll bring our hands back up to our hips, bend our knees, rise up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And now, see if you can, stay with your hands at your heart and let yourself just lift your right heel off the floor. Press down into the ball of foot. Try not to drop down into your left hip. It's like when you do tree pose, you don't want to drop into the hip. You want to feel really open and lifted in that supporting leg. And then bring that right heel down and we'll go to the left side. So press into the ball of the left foot. Feel the foot there. Feel the toes gently on the floor, but try to feel that lift up in the front of your right hip. Nice. And then lower back down. We're going to release our arms on down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward into our standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat back. And this time we'll walk into down dog. So you put your hands the height you like to use and step your way back. And ease your way. Walk a little bit in your dog once you get there. So that if you start to bend a knee at a time and it doesn't just feel quite right, adjust how you have your hands if you need, how far back you walk your feet. Good, and then finish off back into your full dog and let your next inhale bring you towards your plank. Now, a back bend is totally optional here. If you're on the floor, you can come down and do a little Sphinx pose on your forearms. You can, if you want, do a little cobra, or you can come through for an up dog. So that's up to you. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. So again, walk a little bit if you can. We're going to do that same thing. Next inhale, we'll come on out towards a plank. Again, it is totally optional whether you do any kind of a back bend or not. It can be Sphinx, Cobra, up dog, and then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. And from here, let's bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And then we'll step all the way back into standing forward bend. So right away, go to your breath. See if you can really feel easy as you accept your breath. So don't force it. I mean, don't try to, force your breath to be any way, but see if you can just like easily accept the breaths and let them be as even as possible. Good. And we're going to release our hands now back up to our hips as we bend our knees. We'll come on up to standing. And we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, let your left arm come down. And we'll come into a standing side stretch. So let your left hand connect to the outside of your left leg. And then slide the hand down just a little bit. Feel yourself really breathing into the right ribs. Keep connected if you can. Kind of press that left hand gently into your leg there. And then we'll rise back up. We're going to lower that right arm down. And we'll inhale the left arm up. Right hand connects. And then slide the right hand down and kind of feel that you're gently pressing into the outside of your leg there. And breathe into that side you're stretching. Nice. And then we'll rise on back up. We're going to lower our arms on down. And then bend your elbows. Let your hands come together in front of your chest. Take your time. Enjoy coming into mountain pose. Again, let your body adjust its way there. Good. And then we'll release. So shake out a little bit. Move around however you need to, right? We're going to come into some warriors. So I'm going to turn my chair around. If you're using one, let yourself turn it. And then have your blocks handy there at the front of your mat. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into warrior two. So lining up our heels. And, you know, if you have your chair there, you can help yourself by putting your hand on it to give your balance, help with a little balance there. And then just be mindful as you look down at your left knee. Make sure you're lining it up. It's not going way out beyond your toes. And then from here, start to release your right arm back behind you and turn to look back over the top of your right hand. Now right here, this takes a lot of core strength. So as you let your left arm start to rise up and you turn your head, you know, keeping that strength through the core as you turn to look out over the top of that left hand. Imagine you're pressing your feet away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat and feel what your hips do there. Good. One more breath. And then bring your right hand down. See if you can fold your right arm behind you so your lower arm comes onto your low back, and turn your left palm up. And inhale and reach up towards the sky into reverse warrior. So breathing into that left side. If this hurts your right shoulder, don't fold the arm. Do what you need to do. One more breath. And on the exhale, we'll come into side angle. So your left hand can be on your thigh. You can let it be on your chair if you want. But keep your right hand behind you for a second. And turn your palm away from you. It can be in the middle of your back. You can have it on your right hip. You can reach it over to your left, top of your left hip if you want to, if that feels even better in your shoulder. Good. One more breath here. And then turn to look at the floor and bring your right arm down to swing back and forth, front to back. Just it's swinging a little bit. Good. And now you're still looking at the floor. Bring the right arm up by your right ear and turn the pinky down towards the floor and your thumb up. Now, as you open to look to the side of your mat, to come into your side angle, if your shoulder bothers you to have your arm at this angle, don't do it. Shift to where you need to be. You can bring the arm straight up if you need to, right? We're going to come on back to warrior two from here. Press the feet away from each other. Reach out through your fingertips. We're going to bring the right hand to our hip. We're going to straighten our left leg out now. And we're going to bring our left hand down for triangle. So again, you might have it on your leg. You might have it on the chair back or on the chair seat. Or you might even want to reach down and put your hand onto a block or two blocks stacked up. So that depends on you. And draw your right shoulder up towards the ceiling. And add your right hand directly up over your shoulder if you can. So the palm faces forward of you. One more breath. Nice. We're going to bend the left knee and come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And now we're going to bring our hands down and find a lunge here. So, you know, if you decide to use your blocks, you adjust them to the height you want. Release that right heel directly behind you now so that you feel really comfortable in your lunge. And we'll add the twist, left hand to the left hip. And rolling that left shoulder up. You can have your hands stay right there on your back. Or if you want, you can stretch the arm up. Totally up to you. Good. One more breath. And then bring your left hand on back down. And we're going to step forward to get our feet right underneath this. Bend your knees kind of deeply. Let your belly come towards your thighs. See if you can release there. If that's too much and you need a long back, you can still bend your knees and put your belly towards your thighs, but lengthen if you have to with your hands forward, right? One more breath. And then bend your knees. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Couple breaths in mountain pose. Feel your tailbone reaching down towards between the back of your heels. And then we'll let go of our hands, shake everything out, and we're going to go the other side. So again, take your time. Blocks are forward. Your chair can be turned around if you need it. Step your right foot forward and your left foot back, and line up your heels for that warrior two. So again, once you get the length of stance that feels good and the knee is bent, it's not going beyond your toes, then you can really solidify, right? You can feel very equal through your feet here. Now as you start to rise that left back arm up and you turn to look out over the top of it, you can see the hands right back from your shoulder. Now, you got to really use core strength to start to rise the right arm up and turn your head at the same time to start to look right out over the top of that right hand. Beautiful. Energy all the way out through the fingertips. Imagine you're reaching as far away from you as you can with your fingertips, but the shoulders are soft. And now fold your left arm back behind you if you can, or put it on your leg. Turn your right palm up and inhale. Reach up towards the sky here. One more inhale. And on the exhale, as you come to side angle, keep your left hand behind you if you can. Put either your right hand or forearm on your thigh or your chair. And now for a second, just to keep that hand back there, you may even want to shift it a little more to your right hip if that feels good for your shoulder, or to your left hip, or to the midline. Just kind of play a little bit there. And then release your arm long, turn to look down, and start to swing that arm back and forth, forward and back. Let the arm be heavy. And then the next swing is going to bring it up in line with your ear. And then as you open into your extended side angle pose, if that shoulder doesn't like you to be at that angle, change your arm. You can bring it up. You can put it down, right? Don't do anything that hurts your shoulder. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And now left hand comes down, right leg straightens out, and right hand comes down for triangle. Both legs are straight. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips again. If you want to use a block, you can put your hand on a block. Feel those thighs lifting up. If you're able to add that left arm straight up from your shoulder, you can. Don't need to. It's totally not necessary. One more breath. And then we'll bend that right knee and come on back. Press the feet away from each other. And the slower you come, actually, the more work you're doing there in your core body. Good. Now we're thinking of coming to lunge. Remember, bring your hands down. Turn to face your mat and bring your blocks underneath your hands. Any height you want to be, of course. Once you're solid in that lunge, bring your right hand on up to your hip or your low back. And roll that shoulder up. But take your time. You know, you can stretch the arm up if you want to. Feel better to keep the hand down, keep it down. Lengthen out through the top of your head. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hand on back down. We're going to step forward and get our feet underneath us again. And again, if you can bend your knees deeply and think of your belly coming to your thighs, it's fine to lengthen your back out to do that, or maybe it feels good to fold over. That's up to you and your back. One more breath. Really feel those thighs. And now bring your hands to your hips, press into your feet, and rise on up to standing. And we'll inhale the arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, as your hands come down, think about the top of the head reaching up higher towards the ceiling. So there is all that space in your spine. Good. And then we'll let our arms release and come on down. Move around again, shake out again if you need, however you need to. And now, bring your blocks forward again to the front of your mat. If you're using your chair, you might want to turn it around so you can use the seat of the chair. But we're going to bring our hands down either to the seat of the chair or blocks the highest height. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into pyramid pose with both our legs straight. Now, whether your feet are 2 feet apart, or 3 feet, or 4 feet, right? You still want that back foot heel fully on the ground, and the back foot's turned out maybe 20 or 30 degrees. So instead of the heel going directly behind, just slightly let it angle in towards the center of the mat. And there you are in your pyramid pose. So if you feel like, well, this feels pretty good, you want to change your stance a little bit, you can always step back a little more, see if you can take just a little bit longer stance, whether that feels better or not. Feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. And if you like to fold over that front leg, you can. If it feels good to do that, you can bow forward, or you can stay with that nice lengthened spine. So engage your belly a little bit. Think of zipping up pubic bone to belly button. Enjoy finding the backs of the legs getting a little more open here. Good. And one more breath. And then we're going to bend the front knee and step forward and get your feet right underneath your hips and adjust to get your hands highest height on your blocks, right under your shoulders. So the hands are in front of you, your back is long. Let your feet maybe come a little closer together and bend both your knees, and then lift your right foot up off the floor. Your knees are side by side. And now, as you inhale, stretch that leg back long into a warrior 3, where your toes are facing the floor. Now that leg can be lower, so you can look back and see your toes. You definitely don't want the leg up higher. You want to have the heel no higher than right back from your hip pointer bone. Now your option is to lift your left hand up off that block. You don't have to. You can put your hand on your thigh. You can stretch your arm forward if you want. This is a nice time to have a chair, I'll tell you that, because it's right there. One more breath. And then let yourself release. And you can bend your knees and kind of squat back as deeply as you want. So if you want to squat down really low, go for it. If you like to just let yourself release elbows above your knees to release your hips, do what feels really good. Good. And now we're going to slowly rise on back up, because we're going to do the other side. All right. So stepping your left foot back, and again, it is a really nice pose to use the chair for, but nobody in here has one. But if you're at home and you have one, step your left foot back, get again into having that left foot fully grounded, and take your time. You know, if you get into it and it doesn't feel quite right, adjust yourself. Both legs are straight. Thighs are engaging upward. It's like you're creating space in your knees, and you're going to feel it in the back of your legs, butt. Think about using your belly a little bit. Engage your low belly. Send your tailbone back. And if folding forward over the front leg feels good, you go right ahead and do it. You can stay if you want with your hands up so that you extend into that longer back, or you can bow forward. Good. One more breath. And now extend into that long back. If you were folded forward, we're going to bend the front knee, step forward, and get our feet right underneath our hips. And again, get your hands under your shoulders so you have them there for support. Bend your knees. Your feet might want to come a little closer together just at the thought of lifting your left foot up, because you want your right supporting leg to be just where it's really comfortable, so that when you inhale into that long leg back there, the toes are facing down in warrior 3. Again, you can pick up your right hand or not. You don't have to. You can bring your hand to your thigh, or again, if you want to stretch it forward. Just enjoy finding the strength in that supporting leg. Nice. And one more breath there. And then again, when you get ready to come down, you decide about squatting here. You know, you can separate your feet wider if that feels good, and let your elbows come above your knees. Find it a little bit different feeling. You can even turn your toes out or come down. You know, if you like coming down all the way into a squat, if it feels really good to your hips and your knees, go for it. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to come on back up. And now, take your time rising on up to standing, because we're going to turn sideways on our mat and widen our feet out from here. So it doesn't matter which way you turn. I mean, you can, in here, just sort of figure out what feels best. And then if you want your blocks for a wide-legged forward bend, grab them. And we'll get our hands right now in front of us, whether they're on blocks or the floor, and adjust your stance as you start to bend a knee at a time. So, you know, use whatever feels good to give you support, so that, and also if your knees feel glitchy, it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Should feel like a big relief after those warrior threes too. And then come on back into center. Take your time. Let yourself adjust to where it feels good to you. So if you like folding farther forward, if you like stacking your blocks up, putting your elbows on your blocks so you're out of your hands, you can do that. You can let yourself, if you want to fold all the way, crown of the head towards the ground and put your hands between your feet. That's fine. That's the traditional pose there. Or you might feel better to put your elbows above your knees and support your back so that you have no sense of discomfort at all in your back. So you want to be able to relax here. You don't want to feel like, oh, this feels iffy or that feels iffy, or, you know, just find a way where you can totally release into your breath. Support however you need. And then let yourself breathe fully and deeply, feeling the ribs expand as you inhale. Soft face, release around your eyes, your mouth. Good. One more full deep breath here. And as you start to think of rising up, be mindful. Do what you need to do. If you need to adjust your feet, the width of your stance before you come up, do. And if you're dizzy, you need to stay there for a second before you move around. And take your time. Move around your feet. Walk a little bit. We're going to bring our mats into a wall here. So if you're home and you do have a wall that you can use, that'd be great. And first, we're just going to turn and face the wall, and we're going to find a plank pose. Now, I know when you step back with your hands at the wall here for a plank, if your wrists really bother you, right, then come to fists. So, you know, you don't want to get to this point where you're feeling stress in your wrists, and you'll know when you can't do it, you feel like you've got to go to your fist, do. And see if you can really let yourself just inhale your heels up a little bit, and when you exhale, bring them down. So the inhale rises your heels up a little bit, and the exhale brings them down. And then one more time, you just barely rise the heels up, and then you come on back down. And now bend your elbows a little bit inward towards each other, like you're holding that beach ball, and then come back into long arms. So come into releasing towards the wall into that little push-up, and then come back. Now you don't have to go far. You can go as far as you want. If you're like, no, I don't want to do these at all, then fine, stay in your plank. Again, if your wrists bother you, adjust. You can even go to your forearms in your plank if that's better for you. Good. Nice. Good. One more here. And now keep your hands hands where they are. Walk your feet back just a little bit. And then send your hips, your tailbone, your sitting bones back a little bit. So it's like a down dog. You don't have to be parallel to the floor right now. Just imagine thinking of stretching out your triceps a little bit here. So you're up higher maybe than you normally would be if you get into that 90-degree angle. But think of lengthening the spine. Good. One more breath. And then let yourself release. Walk back in towards the wall. Turn around, interlace your fingers, clasp your hands, and your hands are touching the wall, right? And see if you can lean the back of your head into the wall. Just, if possible, see if your elbows can just press gently into the wall too. So the head is rising up just a little bit. Your elbows are gently pressing into the wall. And it is a bit of a back bend. You know, make sure you're comfortable in your back. Engage your belly a little bit. Good. One more breath. And then let yourself release your hands and shake out a little bit. We're going to make our way down onto the floor, onto our bellies. So take your time and come on down. Once you get there, rest for a second with your head on your hands. If you're comfortable to make a pillow with your hands, stack your palms face down with your palms and rest your head. And see if you can point your feet and press gently down into the tops of your feet so that your knees rise up off the floor a little bit. Engage your belly. See if you can then just float your head a little bit up off your hands. Just a little bit, not much. And then release everything back down. Let your legs relax, your head come down. Bend your knees and let your feet circle around back there behind you. And you can circle however you want. Both directions. Wiggle around if you want to. Point and flex. Feel that ankle movement there. And then see if you can let your lower legs come from one side to the other so you can release a little bit into your back. So they're like windshield wiper blades. Good. And then come on back to the center of the legs. Let them come long. And we're going to come up onto our forearms with our elbows under our shoulders. Clasp our hands, send our pinkies out, and bend our knees and lift up our hips. So we're in a half forearm plank. So really press into those forearms. Imagine you're hugging your elbows towards each other. And then imagine you're trying to draw yourself towards the front of your mat a little bit. Feel how your belly really picks up there, right? Belly, low back, hips, big core pose. You don't have to put your feet down and lift your knees up to be working really hard in a plank. I mean, it's fine if you want to do that. If you want to put your toes down and lift your knees up, you can do a full forearm plank if you choose. I'm just saying it's really not a lot less to do this half. So one more breath. And then come on all the way down, long legs. Let's bring our left forearm parallel to the front edge of our mat. And put your head down on your forearm. And then bend your right knee and flex your right foot. So you're pulling your heel. Just don't reach back for the foot yet. Let your leg do the work. You're pulling your heel in towards your buttocks, right? And really flexing. And then see if you can just barely lift your head up off your arm there. So you're looking down at your arm. If you feel like you can reach back with your right hand and get hold of the top of your right foot, you can, or your ankle, or whatever you can get, maybe your pants leg, right? And then see if you can just stay here for a breath and really let the quad stretch out. If you want to lower your head and pull your heel in closer if you have that foot, then you can. Now, if you did that, rise your head back up and press the foot into your hand like you're trying to lengthen your leg. And then we're going to release. Let the leg come long. Bring the right arm underneath your head now. Just kind of slide your left arm in beside you. And then go ahead and bend the left knee. Flex through the foot. Don't reach back yet. Let your leg do the work. Try to draw your heel in towards your buttocks. Good. And then see if you can just float your head a little bit up off your arm. That might be enough right there, right? You're really using your back right now. You don't quite realize it. If you do want to reach back and get hold of your foot or your ankle, you can with your left hand. And of course, if you want to lower your head and pull your heel in towards your buttocks a little bit more without resisting, that can feel good or not. And then see if you can rise your head back up. And if you have your foot, maybe press that foot into your hand like you're trying to lengthen that leg long. Half bow pose. And then we're going to release and come on back down. From here, we're going to make our way back towards pose of a child. Big toes together, knees as far apart as feels good to you. So you know, as you start to shift back, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. You can stay kind of forward and rest a little bit here so your hips are up more and you're not going into those deep knee bends. Or you can shift if it feels good so that you feel your hips coming towards your heels. And everybody's different. But let your arms be comfortable, whatever you decide to do here, right? You can adjust them however you want. You can bring them back alongside your legs, turning the palms up. You can use your hands like as a pillow if you want to. So just be mindful. And some people like to turn their head sideways in child's pose. That's fine. If you like to turn your head one way, just after a couple of breaths, make sure you turn it the other way so you even yourself out. Good. And one more full breath here. Feel your low back expand as you inhale. And then we'll bring our hands by our knees so we can press up. And we're going to bring our legs on around to sitting from here. So if sitting on a blanket sounds like a good idea to you, do. Not with your blocks handy too, just in case. So we're going to bring our feet, soles of the feet together. If you need to stretch your legs out for a second, do. But we'll bring the soles of our feet together. So sitting up on a blanket can be helpful in this pose for sure. How far you put your feet in front of you in Baddha Konasana is up to you. So when you pull your heels in closer to you, if it forces you to do this in your spine, then send the feet out further and try to lengthen up. Now, if your knees are naturally up like that, it's just how you're built in your hips. And sometimes if you put blocks underneath them, sometimes you can sit in this pose and actually feel more released instead of feeling like you're gripping in your hips. We're all different. So for some people, it's better not to use blocks. They feel more released when they don't have them. And some people, so you just have to adjust for yourself. See if you can, even if you need to put your hands behind you, see if you can sit up tall. So you find that length upward through the top of your head. And then if you can release your hands to where you either put them on your shins, just make sure you don't pull your toes up off the floor, okay? You can hold your shins, you can hold wherever feels good, your ankles, up by your knees more, whatever feels good. But just enjoy. Let yourself feel that sense of allowing your knees to gently reach away from the midline of the body, so there's a release in the hips there, a length through your inner thighs. Good. If you like to ease your way a little bit forward in this pose, you can. So that you come forward with a long back. It might not be very far. If you feel like you'd like to let your head come down because you're feeling tense in your neck, then do that. I mean, you can go farther and farther forward as long as it feels okay for you. So again, don't force anything. Let it feel like a relief of a pose. Good. One more breath. And then let's come back up. And now keep your left foot where it is and let your right leg extend out long. Okay, on a kind of an angle, right? So it's not directly forward. It's not way off to the side, but you can kind of let yourself feel a little bit of an inner thigh stretch there when you come forward, right? So coming forward might be just a half an inch and letting yourself just experience a little more release through this inner right long leg. So take your time. If this bothers your left knee at all, do what you need to do. You can send the foot farther forward. You can stretch it out if you have to. You can put that block underneath your knee. That in itself can sometimes help if you have like a glitchy feeling in your knee. So just enjoy. Let it feel good. And then we'll slowly come on back up. We're going to twist now. We're going to twist towards that bent leg, right, letting our right hand come over and around towards your left knee. You might not get all the way to the knee. You might hold on to your ankle or your foot, right? But just let yourself twist there and enjoy reaching up through the top of your head. Good. One more breath. And then let your belly help you come on back around into center. And we are going to switch legs. So the left leg comes out. And again, you know, this is a different leg. I mean, sometimes all of a sudden a knee can just feel like it's not quite right. So, or your hip, right? So use support if you need it. And as you again think of coming forward, this left leg that's long, the knee and the toe are facing up. So when you come forward, you don't want the toes to roll forward. You want to keep the knee and the toe facing upward, and that might give you even a little more in the inside of your thigh there and in your hamstring. You'll feel in the back of your leg, the inner leg. Good. Good. So one more breath here. And then take your time as you slowly come on back up. Remember, we're going to twist. So inhaling here. And on the exhale, coming around with the right hand behind you. So again, that left hand can go all the way to your knee if you want. It can be on your foot, your ankle, your shin. Good. One more breath. And then slowly bring yourself back around. Let's stretch both legs out into that wide angle with the knees and the toes facing up. And then come on a little forward there. So now you're evened out. And you know, you can let your hands be on your shins. If your feet are closer together, you know, you might want to slide down to your ankles or reach your toes. If your feet are wider, it just depends on how you're built in your hips, then you might want to put your hands on the floor. All right, so that depends on how far apart your feet are. So you be where you can. And take your time. Think of again coming forward from your low back. Nice. Good. One more breath. And as you start to slowly make your way on back up, use your hands if you want to bring your legs a little closer together. Bring your knees up and see if you can just hold on behind your thighs for a second. lengthen upward through the top of the head. It's actually kind of a hard way to sit. Not leaning back, but reaching up, right? So you can kind of use your hands to pull your ribs in more towards your legs a little bit there. Good. And then bring your hands on behind you. I'm going to turn sideways, but you're going to stay where you are. Bring your hands behind you. Now you can turn your fingertips so that you turn your fingers out about 45 degrees so that you have that little turnout, and lift and open your chest here, and maybe just stay right there. If you like lifting up into four-footed table, you can either keep your hands that turned out that way or turn your fingertips back to look at the foot of your mat, and then you can think of lifting up your hips if you want. Not necessary to do that. And if you come up and your shoulders just say, oh, for heaven's sakes, I can't do that, try turning your hands the other way. Because sometimes it's like 100 times easier to have your hands turned a different way. And if you're like, either way feels terrible, don't do it. Yeah? So, take your time, be mindful, come down when you need to. And then we're going to come on down onto our backs on the floor. I like that coming down that way.
Yeah, it's graceful.
Flop right on down, right? And let your knees come on into your chest. And release the knees side to side a little bit. Do what feels good to you. If you'd rather circle your knees, you can always circle the knees. Let the back and the hips find relief, right? Good, and then come on back into center. Bring the feet down onto the floor. And just cross your right thigh over your left, like woman cross-legged, thigh over thigh. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. Flex your feet now. And you can either just hold on to your knee, or both knees, or one knee. If you feel like you'd rather just clasp behind a thigh, do that. Flex the feet, but see if you can just gently pull the legs in towards you, however you're holding them. Good, and then bring that left foot back down. Stay crossed, okay? Stretch your arms out beside you. And then lift your hips up, put them to the right 2 or 3 inches more, and put them down. And then let your knees come over to the left. This is a little twist. Now your right foot can hit the floor really fast so that the knees don't go very far down. So if that's a good enough twist for you, you feel good there, go, stay for it. You can stay right there. You can let the knees descend down more towards the ground if you want to. So that depends on you. Feel that right shoulder releasing towards the floor. If it feels good to turn your head to look to the right, do. Good. One more breath here. And as you start to head back up with the knees, go ahead and uncross, because you're going to need to shift big time to get your spine straightened out again. Do a couple of little pelvic tilts as you need. Let yourself really get adjusted there where you feel like your back centered with your spine. And then we'll cross our left thigh over our right. Bring the knees in towards your chest. Flex both your feet. Again, wherever you want to hold, like behind your thigh or on your knees. See if you can just pull the knees in towards you. Flex through both your feet. And you'll feel how your low back is just kind of melting down into the floor. Good. One more breath here. And then bring the right foot back down. Stretch your arms out beside you. Lift your hips up. Shift them to the left 2 or 3 inches. Put them back down. And then again, as you come over with the knees to the right, that right foot can hit the floor so really quickly. You're still going to get a stretch up into your buttocks there. Even if you don't go deeper into the knees towards the ground, you're still, it's actually a great hip release. So If you do want to go deeper and have the knees come further over, you can. Think about your left shoulder just releasing down towards the ground. Good. One more breath. And as you again start to head up, you'll want to uncross pretty quickly just because it's easier. And then straighten yourself on out. Bring your knees on in towards your chest. Slide them a little towards the outside of the ribs, down towards the ground. And you can send your feet up or not into Happy Baby. Or maybe you feel better to just open your knees and bring the soles of the feet towards each other into a reclined Baddha Konasana like we did when we were sitting. Or maybe it feels better to you to come more towards that Happy Baby. So take your time. Just be mindful. There might be something else entirely that your body wants you to do right now. You know, and you'll come know if you just start moving around a little bit and you let your body take over. There might be any number of things that really feel good to you, because everybody will feel differently after the sequence of poses and movement we did, right? So take your time. I'm going to start to get some lights, and then I'll start to head around to bring stuff here at the studio. If you're home and you know that the idea of having some support for yourself sounds good, if you don't have bolsters, you can use rolled up blankets. Make them kind of into like a log. You can use pillows, but pillows are not quite as firm, so maybe you have to use a couple and kind of round them up. Everybody's different. I mean, if you even like the idea of having something underneath your knees. Some people that brings release, some people it doesn't. So take time, move around if you need. I'm going to get everybody in here situated. What do you think you want to do that again?
The little one.
You want the little one again? People felt good. Yeah. Oh, just that. I didn't break. So, take your time, and you know, if you start to move around and you're like, oh, I can't get comfortable, try anything you can. A blanket underneath your head.
You can do it. Nope, just right here.
Yes. Up to yeah. Yeah, it's chilly. Hold on your feet. Hold on. Hold on. Grab that and cover up. There you go.
Thank you. Perfect.
How about that chair?
Good. I'm glad. Blankets are great, guys. I'm glad to see somebody using them.
Yeah. And if you could just leave this until about 1:30.
Yeah. I thought of that like that.
And we'll wait for that.
Okay.
Good. So take your time. Just enjoy receiving your breaths in and out through your nose. Remember, all you want to do is keep returning your awareness to your breath. But let it be easy. Like when you do wander off into thinking, you just all of a sudden remember, oh, I need to be with my breath. So just softly start to watch again, in and out with your breath. So no judgment when your mind goes into thinking. It's always going to. But But just give yourself the gift of these few minutes to lie, watching your breath, giving yourself time after all you just did to completely and fully relax. Just enjoy feeling the ground cradling you a little bit longer. Appreciate gravity holding you there so that when you do start to move, you be really gentle with yourself, starting with your extremities. And taking your time to move up, to letting your arms, your legs do what they need to do. You know, you can stay on your back, you can roll onto either your right or your left side if that's comfortable for you to come into a soft fetal position on your side. You can always use your arm as a pillow too if that helps you be more comfortable if you don't have a blanket. Just be mindful. Let yourself take your time. So that when you feel like rising to sit up, it feels like the next natural thing to do, actually. It feels okay to ease your way into sitting and let your heart start to come up, and then your head be up there above your heart again so that you can easily sit comfortably, adjust how you're sitting if you need to, let your hands come to a really comfortable place for your shoulders. And as your eyes are gently closed, just come back to your breath. On your next exhale, let your hands come gently and meet in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.